As health and wellness providers, we know that better patient outcomes require a whole person, multidisciplinary approach that we just can't provide on our own. That's why I've started the Wellness Center Creators Podcast. I'll be bringing you interviews with experts, tips, tricks, secrets, resources, systems, and solutions so that you don't have to reinvent the wheel. And creating your wellness center won't feel like starting over. It can be a daunting thought to make the switch to a paperless practice, especially when it comes to charting. Jane is an all-in-one practice management software that makes it easy to make the switch. And here are a few reasons why. The team at Jane knows every practitioner charts a little differently. You can still maintain your own charting style by building customizable chart templates using note fields, image uploads, and Jane's helpful duplicate button to build entries that look just like your paper charts. You also don't need to start charting from scratch in Jane. Jane's chart template library is a goldmine of templates where other practitioners across various disciplines have shared their own templates for you to use. And if the very thought of getting started is scary to you, Jane's support team is available by phone, email, or live chat. Support is unlimited in your monthly subscription, so take advantage of it. You can learn more about Jane at jane.app. Listeners can mention the show, Wellness Center Creators Podcast, for a 1-month grace period applied to their new Jane account at the time of sign-up. Welcome back, everyone, to the Wellness Center Creators Podcast. Today on the show, we have Dr. Avery Colby. She's a Washington State licensed naturopath that practices in Camas, Washington, in Washington State. She specializes in IV therapy, hormone support, and regenerative medicine. Welcome, Dr. Colby.
Thank you. I'm so happy to be here. Thanks for having me.
So, number one question that I love to ask healthcare providers is, why did you become a naturopathic doctor? What led you to this field?
Yeah, and it's such a great question because I feel like everybody's journey is pretty different, but mine is more simple than other people's maybe. I just knew I wanted to be in the health space, and the traditional medical model did not fit my beliefs and what I wanted to practice. And also, I'm the youngest of 5 kids. 2 older sisters are chiropractors and raised by a wonderful hippie mother. So kind of pushed in that direction pretty easy for me to make that decision.
I love that so much. The hippie mothers, they'll guide you in that direction for sure.
Oh, yeah.
So I know you focus on hormone health and women's health. So why do you love that? Why do you love perimenopause and hormone health?
I feel like I could talk about this for hours. I truly love treating women. And the main reason is I just feel like there's a huge gap in our healthcare system for them. It's, up to reproductive health. There is care for them. But then once you have your babies, postpartum or going through perimenopause or going through menopause is not really touched upon. There's a huge gap in the industry for that. And so a lot of women feel unheard. And I just feel like the more women I was seeing, the more they were talking to me and I was listening to them, and I could just see them light up. Like a provider is listening to them. Like, you don't have to live with those symptoms. You don't have to have insomnia and fatigue for your whole life, So that was really important to me, that women were being heard, and that as naturopaths or providers that we're providing care for that age gap that's not seeing a lot of healthcare.
Mm-hmm. That's beautiful. And you really touched on one of the biggest differences between naturopathic medicine and Western medicine is that piece of spending time with patients and having a whole person approach and getting to the root cause of symptoms, and really giving that experience and hope of like, actually, you don't have to live this way forever. You don't have to feel this way forever. There is a solution, and to be with patients and to hear them and listen to them is so impactful.
Yeah, it is. I mean, it's nice to spend a little bit more time with patients and just when they realize that moment when they realize that they don't have to live with a lot of the symptoms that most traditional medical doctors are saying, oh, you're a woman. Oh, you're just going through menopause. This is normal. And it's like, yeah,
Mhm.
it's common, but it does not have to be our normal.
Yeah, absolutely. So I know a big part of what you do is also IV therapy.
Yes.
So could you explain to our audience, first of all, what is IV therapy and what are the benefits?
Yeah, so just really briefly, IV therapy just means intravenous therapy. So it's a way to get nutrition, hydration, electrolytes, and minerals into the body via a vein, which the benefits of that are, 100% absorption. If you are taking a supplement or eating really good foods, you're still going to only absorb a fraction of the nutrients in that. So IV therapy is a way for us to kind of bypass that portion of absorption and give 100% availability to the body. And we're also using, really good quality nutrients. So absorption is just very high.
Mhm. That's great. And so from a business perspective, you're a naturopathic doctor.
Mhm.
It's you. You said you have an office manager, an administrative assistant,
Mhm.
and a small and mighty team. We were talking about that
Mhm.
before we got on. So a lot of our listeners are health and wellness providers and business owners. And so I'm curious if you can share sort of your journey out of school and into practice and how you got into your own business and in your own clinic and what advice you would really give, because I know in all the modalities that business piece is often missing from the higher education.
Oh my gosh, 1,000%. I feel like we got no business education while going through medical school. So this is another one of my little soapboxes that I love to stand on. And I always hoped that after being in practice for so many years, I'd be able to give back to my profession in a business perspective. So yeah, lots to be said on that. But going through school, we weren't really presented a lot of opportunities to open our own business. It was mostly graduate, go to a preceptor, or work for somebody else. You're not going to be ready to practice right after school. We heard that hundreds and hundreds of times. And honestly, if I didn't have my oldest sister, Dr. Darlene, she's a chiropractor, she owns her own business. If I didn't have her in my ear being like, girl, you can open your own business. You do not need to practice underneath somebody. You were in school for 4 years, like you are able. So that push really pushed me there. But I'm not kidding when I said I actually bought the Opening a Business for Dummy book because I was like, I don't know anything. I was
That is
Googling
amazing.
everything. I was literally Googling everything. So I guess my advice for naturopaths, or I guess other providers too, is to create your own dialogue. You don't have to fit into the mold of, what everybody else is doing. I think I was like one of 5 to 10 of my colleagues that opened a practice right after school. So be fearless, know that you are strong enough to do it, and things that scare you usually push you to the next level. So,
Absolutely. And I want to speak to that a little bit too, because I was in that 5 people from my cohort path as well that went right into my own practice. And when you know what's right for you as a provider and the patients you're working with, listen to that, listen to your gut and go that direction. The biggest encouragement I have is to make sure you have support, make sure you have mentorship and support as you're building your business. And I think a lot of the higher education programs, even as a mental health counselor, we got that same message. You can't go into your own practice right after school. You're not ready. And it's just not true for everyone. And you can still expand on the skills. Like you said, you went to medical school, you have the skills, and you can still expand on them while you have your own business and just making sure you have that support so that you can continue to grow.
yeah, and speaking to the mentorship or having someone kind of guiding you, I didn't have that. I had my sister for business, but our professions are different. Our clinics looked different, and it wasn't until I kind of stumbled across Dr. Tina Moore and her business master classes and her mentorship program. I was with her for 2 years, and just having someone that has opened their own business successfully and who is guiding me. Honestly, I tell people all the time, I'm like, go find a mentor. I was like, they
Yeah.
will push you. They will, and even I've been in practice for 4 years. I'm very comfortable in my practice, and I'm still right now, looking for the next business mentor, the next person to help push me there, because they do. They make you uncomfortable in a good way.
Uncomfortable in a good way.
Yeah.
Hey there, this is Katie from Jane. Jane is an all-in-one practice management software with features that can help you manage and grow your practice. Some of those features include Jane's client-friendly online booking, integrated one-on-one telehealth, and our unified payment solution that makes it easy to process payments in person or online. And not to toot our own horn, but we have a ridiculously good support team who's here for you in every step of your journey. You can call us, email us, or chat with us. Support is unlimited, so take advantage of it. Head to jane.app to connect with a member of our team. Or if you're ready to get started with Jane, mention the Wellness Center Creators Podcast for a 1-month grace period applied to your new account. Talk soon.
So you chose to go the route of having a private pay practice. Can you share with the audience why you chose that and how it's working for you?
Yeah, I used to do insurance for my sister, and I used to do the Medicare insurance and file her insurance stuff. So I know the backbones of insurance, and I know how much of a headache that is. So that, but just off the bat, like, oh my gosh, insurance is a headache. Do I want to be doing this? Do I want to be spending a lot of my time or paying someone to be doing this? No. But on the other side of that, as providers, as, even therapists, chiropractors, as naturopaths, like, we have put in the time at school. We do deserve a certain pay, and insurance isn't providing that right now, and maybe they'll catch up to us, but then we have to work in their constraints. We have to follow their guidelines in order to get paid what we should. So, as a whole, I encourage other people to not accept insurance because it'll bring our industry standards up, as a whole. So our whole profession will benefit from, being, this is, we're going to give amazing care, but we do deserve a certain amount. So.
Mm-hmm. And I think this is the important piece for clients and patients to understand, because it's, as helping professionals, we wish at the end of the day, like, most of us would do this for no money. We love it. We absolutely, and I'm not going to speak for you, but I see you nodding. And I think we all agree, like, we absolutely love what we do, and we want people to get well, stay well, and feel better. And we wish the insurance system was different. We wish it were different. And it's not. And so I think the thing to understand is just like what you're saying, is insurance companies do not value the service that we provide. And when you go to school and get this type of education, you and I and all of us absolutely deserve to be paid a living wage and be paid the value of what we're providing. So it's important to just speak to all sides of it, and that we're not, we don't disregard the fact that we would love for the care to be accessible to everyone. And the reality is the way the system is set up is it restricts the way we can practice, and we're not compensated fairly.
Yeah, and I would agree, everybody that's in the medical system, usually, we're bleeding hearts. We want to help everybody. That's why we're here, But yeah, insurance is just too constraining, and yeah, they devalue us. So.
Mm-hmm. So let's talk about marketing a little bit when it comes to naturopathic practice. Now, you have your IV side of things, and then you have the naturopathic care side.
Mm-hmm.
Have you had a different approach to marketing those two main offerings? And how would you advise our listeners?
Yeah, I definitely, as I was opening my own clinic, I got a lot of advice of pick your specialty and stick to it. And in my head, I was like, oh my gosh, but I love IV therapy. I love it so much. But then I'm like, I love hormones. I love naturopathic care. And I was like, I want to meld these two together, and I don't care what anybody says. So I do have kind of two different approaches to it. IV therapy is really for everybody. I want it to be accessible to all genders and ages and that. And so I market as such, like, you don't have to come see me as a new patient to get an IV. You can be a walk-in. You can be, someone who's not ready to do naturopathic care, who is very, Western medicine focused, but can still get an IV or injection therapy and benefit in that way. On the flip side of things, I really did focus in on my patient population to be mostly females. Not to say I don't have other patients, but most of them are females, and they're my avatar, they're who I want. So I market specifically to that. And so it is interesting to kind of have two-step, I have people following me on Instagram that they don't want to see, PMS symptoms or hormone related stuff. They want to see the IV. And then on the flip side of that, I have my women that really are just there for the information regarding perimenopause or hormones and things like that. So, and I do have a newsletter that goes out that it's almost 100% focused on hormones. So I do let women know, if you are more interested in that content and you're not really on Instagram, please get on my newsletter and you'll get it that way.
Mm-hmm. That's great. So can you tell us a bit more about your clinic, about Petal and Thorn, and what you're doing there with regenerative medicine?
Yeah, absolutely. I love talking about my clinic because it's, like all business owners, it's your baby. It feels like your baby. We are just a smaller clinic in Camas, Washington. And if people don't know where Camas, Washington is, it's, right next to Vancouver, Washington, which is across from Portland. So it's just a teeny little town here. The community runs so strong here. So something that my clinic, we try to do is really make it, community focused. Like I want to be a Camas staple. And as when I walk around Camas, people know Petal and Thorn. There's people wearing Petal and Thorn merch. So we really try to create a brand around that. Like I'm not this huge naturopath that is seeing patients worldwide. Like I'm their naturopath. I'm their Camas naturopath, and I'm here to help them and help the community. With regenerative medicine, it's kind of a third thing in our clinic, but it happened from women's hormones. So a lot of women that I was seeing were having incontinence and having, pains and aches and things like that. So I fell upon a machine or a procedure called the Emsella. And just really quickly with that, it's just a machine that utilizes two different therapies to help, tone the muscles, so increase muscle tone and get rid of, fat cells. But the Emsella specifically, all the research is for strengthening pelvic floor, which to me was super amazing and interesting because in women's health, we don't have a ton of great options for pelvic floor. You either go to a PT and it's kind of internal procedure, or you get surgery. So this was a machine that had great research that helped regenerate the muscle tone in the pelvic floor without being invasive, which was so cool to me when I saw that research. I'm like, yes, we need that. My patients need that.
Sounds like such an amazing resource and tool for your work. And so if patients are local to Vancouver, Camas, Washington, what's the best way for them to find you and reach out?
Yeah, I find, any way they want to reach out, we're here for them. But as a smaller clinic, as people know that have smaller clinics, it's hard to connect, if they're calling the clinic, and voice messages and calling back. So I love when patients connect via Instagram or email or newsletter. Any of that is fantastic. We have a direct link on our website where you can email us. It gets shot to both my office manager and me. So we catch all of those wonderful emails. And we try to stay very active on our Instagram so that we can reach the audience through there, and communicate via message and things like that. So those are kind of the main ones.
So your Instagram is Petal and Thorn Clinic?
Yes, it's Petal and Thorn Clinic, and our website is petalandthornwellness.com. Emails is petalandthornclinic@gmail.com. You can hit us on any of those and connect with us.
Amazing. Thank you so much for being here, Dr. Colby. It was great to chat with you.
Yes, thank you so much for having me. This was wonderful.
Thanks so much for listening to the Wellness Center Creators Podcast. I hope you enjoyed the episode. Please visit our website at wellnesscentercreators.com for more show notes and additional episodes. By the way, I love hearing from listeners. Please send me an email at Kendall, Kendall, at wellnesscentercreators.com with your feedback. And if you send me a question, maybe I'll read it on the show, anonymously, of course. Thanks so much again for listening, and we'll catch you next time on the Wellness Center Creators Podcast.